Welcome to Luna Today. My name is Steve Ngube. Hope you've had a fantastic week. So many things happening this week. Obviously, Sunday we commemorated World AIDS Day. I don't know if it's a celebration or commemoration. I always say, "Oh, Happy World AIDS Day." Does that sound nice to you? Does it sound nice to me? Because it's World AIDS Day. Anyway, we commemorated World AIDS Day, and of course, the functions and everything that needed to happen happened on Sunday. Monday was World Consumerism Day. World Consumerism Day is a day I think we all need to get into, especially that we just jumped out of Black Friday. How many people were in these stores trying to get the best bargain, trying to get the best clothes, and being wowed by advertising from different companies? Your media is sucking you in. They're always telling you this is a great bargain. But when it was 50 kwacha, if they take out one ngwe, it becomes 49 kwacha, 99 ngwe. When you go home, what do you tell your parents? Was it 50 kwacha or was it 40 kwacha? I say 40 kwacha. Because somebody did experiments on our heads and got us to think that it's cheaper by one ngwe, but we're thinking it's like a whole huge amount. Consumerism is an art and it's a science, and I think these stores got you in on Black Friday. I hope you enjoyed your Black Friday and hope you've gotten that phone for an actual bargain instead of maybe not getting it. So today on the show, we're talking about consumerism as well, and consumerism is the idea that consumption of goods and services is a desirable goal, and that's a person's well-being is dependent on material possession. It can also refer to relentless pursuit of consumption driven by mass media, advertising, and the market economy. As we head into Christmas, are we thinking about Jesus' birth or we're thinking about Santa Claus? So in the studio, I've got Dr. Joseph Mulenga, and my previous Luna Today, I was talking to another doctor, and he says it's very important that you mention which doctor it is, because abantu barepitana nama honorary doctorate and saying they're doctors.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
How does that make you feel, though, that somebody has an honorary doctorate and they called Dr. Sosik?
I think sometimes it's annoying because you know what you've put in to get that name, that title of doctor.
Yeah.
Then someone just wakes up today and say, "I am a doctor."
Very good doctorate.
Yes. So I'm Dr. Mulenga Mwansa Joseph. Those are my full names.
Okay.
And I work as a pediatrician at the Children's Hospital, Arthur Davison Children's Hospital in particular.
Yeah.
The only standalone children's hospital, not only in Zambia but in Southern Africa.
It's really good that this hospital is actually
Yes.
the friendly city, and we've been having different people from the ADH coming through, and it's nice to know that they are standalone and they do so many great things. All right, so I mean, before we even get to our topic today, let's talk about consumerism. Okay. Yeah, so I'm asking this question. You can also ask this question if you check out our YouTube channel. A comment at the bottom, or our Facebook page as well. Go comment. When you think about Christmas, who do you think about first? What comes into your mind? Like, is it Jesus or Santa Claus?
I think for me, based on where I come from a very strict Pentecostal family. So Christmas is Jesus.
Jesus.
Yes.
Okay. So when you when you take your kids to these Christmas parties, or your nephews or nieces, do you expect to have someone dressed as Jesus or Santa Claus?
So before we go to the party, we first go to church. After church, that's when we go for the party. So it still starts with church. That's Jesus. Then we go to all these parties and whatnot.
You're a better man than me. Every time I hear Christmas, I see Santa Claus about how much I'm going to spend, because all the kids will want something from me. So it's about the season of giving.
Yeah.
But for me, I always feel like a season of giving to people.
Yes,
and your kids. But when it came to Jesus, he gave what? I mean, why is it called the season of giving with Jesus?
I think Jesus gave us the best gift that we can ever want or can ever wish for, and that's life. I don't know, of course our viewers got different backgrounds in terms of religion and whatnot, but as Christians we believe that he gave his life for us, and I mean that's the best gift and the first gift that we've ever received as human beings. The very moment you're born, you already received the gift, and that's a gift of life.
Do you think that Christmas has been changed to a point where it's about consumerism?
I think so. Someone who used to joke to say that's why they call it Xmas, because now it's just about spending, it's about having a good time, it's about buying stuff, it's about, going to shops. Right now, when it's December, almost all the shops are running promos and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's all about consuming. It's less about the actual day.
Yeah,
Yes, Jesus.
you can actually get Jesus for free. Try that.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So I mean, World AIDS Day was obviously on the 1st of December. I mean, this week has passed, and I know some time has passed, but we thought let's talk about World AIDS Day, and you know, give light on where HIV/AIDS comes from. A lot of misconceptions now. I talk to a lot of young people. By the way, young people, you're not very intelligent, yeah? You know what Mtaliwanza's doing, but nothing else. And it's crazy that we don't know where HIV/AIDS comes from. I was talking to 23-year-olds and they had no idea.
Oh my goodness.
No idea about the history of it. Well, so the theme for the World AIDS Day that took place this week is take the rights path, my health, my right. So where does HIV/AIDS come from?
Okay, so as you've rightly said, there have been a whole lot of misconceptions that they are out there. AIDS came from this place, came from that place, but studies have been done, and we all accept that the first bacteria or the first microbe that was tested in the labs and that showed that that's why HIV came from. It first started from chimpanzees, and most of these are said to have originated in Africa. And what books or what we've all accepted as medical personnel is that HIV started from chimpanzees, and the virus was first transmitted to human beings in the early 1900s. So what used to happen back then, or what we've agreed to say, is that human beings used to eat chimpanzees or these wild animals, and these wild animals that people used to eat. Yeah, so people used to eat monkeys, and these monkeys that people used to eat, the chimpanzees in particular, it is thought that some of them had a particular virus that over time that virus started evolving in the bodies, and this is said to have been happening between the 1900s and the 1930s. So people used to consume these chimpanzees, and that's why they got a virus that evolved into HIV. So between the 1900s up to 1930, it was from consumption. Then from around 1930 to the 1950s, it is known that a first person was tested, somewhere in 1959, a first person was tested with HIV.
In the Congo,
and the actual virus. A person was tested, that is in the Congo, and that person had HIV. And that was a period at which now we started knowing HIV as we know it.
So that's when it became, basically the virus mutated to a point where it could be sexually transmitted to another person.
And that was in the 1950s, and that's why we first now started noticing that HIV is there. There's this virus called HIV. And still, even that period in the 1950s, there was still parenteral passage of HIV from persons to persons. But somewhere in the 60s, that's when now we started noticing that HIV can be passed on from a person to another person through sexual activities. Yes.
The funny thing is that I think the fact that the whole virus is so complicated. I mean, recently we were talking about antimicrobial resistance. Yeah,
yes.
This past few weeks we talked about it, and a lot of people didn't know that there were several people who are dying, even in our country, from the fact that they are resistant to some medications because they overdo it.
Yes.
So when it comes to viruses and the HIV, how important is it for you to take that medication, particularly that you need to take it at a particular time all the time?
So with the viruses as well, particularly HIV. So the way HIV works is that if you are able to take your medication, you adhere to your treatment, you're able to wipe out the virus from the system. That's why you've heard of this 95-95 thing that we're following in Zambia, which is supposed to occur in 2030. By 2030, we're supposed to expect that 95% of the population should know their HIV status. 95% of those people that are HIV positive should start treatment. 95% of those people that are on medication they're supposed to be suppressed, immunity suppressed from the virus. Now, when someone takes medication, the medication is able to wipe out the active virus to an extent that this person stops being virulent. What that means that that person stops being able to pass the infection from one person to another. But if this person today they take the medication, tomorrow they stop, the other day they take the medication, they stop, what will happen is that this virus that is in the body, I'll use very layman's term. So this virus that is in the body, instead of being killed by the virus, it will just know the taste of the medicine.
But I didn't say
It will just know the taste of, oh, this is how this medicine tastes. The next time you take the medication, because that virus didn't die, it will know that, okay, this is how this medicine tastes, I'll run away from the medication. So eventually this person becomes resistant. So just like antibiotics, even the HIV virus, if you don't take the drugs properly, you don't adhere fully to medication, you can also become resistant. Those drugs will stop working. And those are the people you hear that, oh, they're switching me from first line to second line. Yes.
Yeah. You know, we talked about, Christianity, we talked about the meaning of Christmas and everything, right? But, you know, I'm a Catholic sometimes, but, you know, we go to religious gatherings, and religious gatherings I've also been highlighted as the places where a lot of people are told, don't take this medication, you have been healed. And certain churches have been pointed out that they've let people stop taking this medication. Have you encountered these issues, especially that we're talking about Christmas and Jesus' birth?
So I'll tell you something. This is also in line with, because we started with the history of HIV. So what happened that around in the 80s, early 80s, when we started now having a situation of HIV being passed on from heterosexual or homosexual activities, it started spreading also in places like Zambia. The first person in Zambia that tested positive for AIDS was in 1984. Right? Then in 1986, somewhere there, we now had this organization that we call the National AIDS Council today that came in to help out with this condition. But now, what used to happen was that in the 80s, early 90s, when HIV came into Zambia, it was just a disease for the rich. Those people that are able to fly to America,
really?
Those are able to fly to the UK, it was a disease for the rich. That was in the early 90s, late 80s.
It's the same thing they said about COVID when it came out.
Yeah, those people that were able to travel and whatnot. Then now, towards the late 90s, there was a paradigm shift. So what we started seeing was people now in our communities started having HIV. Every Jim and Jack now could get HIV from just sleeping with any other person. It didn't need you to go to South Africa. It didn't need you to go to the UK. Within our communities, HIV started spreading. And now in the late 90s, early 2000s, you found that in the poorest of communities, we used to find HIV. And some of these funny men of God started now using this to their advantage. They would go to tell these people to say, this disease, it's demonic, take these drugs and stuff like that. One of the drugs that was being used for treatment of HIV called defibrance, very, very bad drug. So this drug, it's bad in terms of its side effects, but it's good because it used to work. So what I mean that it is bad, it used to give people nightmares. To give you nightmares, hallucinations, and all those things. So it was just a side effect.
So you'd have these things, and somebody would interpret it for you and say, you know what?
It's demonic.
It's demonic.
And you know, if you're going to have a mental breakdown, mostly what you're scared of the most is what you might see. If you're going to have nightmares, what you're scared of is what you're going to see. So if I don't know, when someone takes those medications, those things that they're scared of, they'll start seeing them, dreaming about them and stuff like that.
I didn't even know that.
It's the drug is called defibrance. So when now people would come in, they'll say, it's that drug that you're taking, stop. It's demonic. That's why I'm seeing these things. So we had a whole lot of people that would stop taking medication because of being told that these medicines don't work. But of course, even as we work as doctors, we pray, we're Christians, you understand? So even as we prescribe these medications, we pray, we use God, even as we use science, God uses us. And so if a pastor tells you to say stop taking medication because they have prayed for you, then that pastor does not mean more for you.
Right.
Of course, miracles do happen. Christmas is about miracles, but when it comes to your health, you can't play with that.
Yeah, especially that 4 kids. All right, and another thing that United States seem to be the first recorded cases of HIV in the, I think, late the 70s or
Yeah.
or early 80s, and it was even called to a point like it was a gay disease.
Yeah.
And for almost a decade through the 80s, this was established as that. Why do you think they were more susceptible in the United States than than it is now with heterosexuals?
Okay, so I think with gay sex, of course, like you rightly put it, initially HIV was thought to be a disease that was just particularly affecting people that are homosexuals, particularly gay men. One of the reasons why that used to happen is because, you know, when two men are having intercourse, there's high risk of having injuries and bruises in the anus. And those sites where there's injuries, where there's blood and whatnot, it is from there that infection would take place. So it's much more easy to get HIV through anal sex than vaginal sex because of the injuries, because of the bruising. So that's why in those days it was this cohort of people that used to pass on the infection. So it was really thought to be in the 80s, it was really thought to just be a disease that affects these people. And you used to see a lot of celebrities, there's that guy, is it Queen, all those people, all those celebrities that were gay and they had this condition. So it was known to be a disease for gay people.
Yeah, and like, when you go and check it out, most of the time people are saying that it was sent by God to get rid of. So religion still jumped in there. It was sent by God to get rid of people and their bad behavior. All right, so let's talk about HIV-1 and HIV-2. Is there HIV-3? Because when we hear about the chimpanzee HIV, they said it was HIV-1. So when we got to, how did we get to HIV-2? Because HIV-1 has been said to not be as infectious as HIV-2. And what do we have in our region? Because HIV-1 has it been like mostly for West Africa? Yeah. So what do we have in our region mostly?
So HIV-1 and HIV, first of all, there are many strains of HIV. There are a lot of them. Just that the most common that we have in that we test for and that people get to have is HIV-1 and HIV-2. So HIV-1 is what that was said to have come from chimps. Then HIV-2 came from a special type of monkeys, a certain breed called manga bee monkeys. That's where HIV-2 was thought to have come from. HIV-1 is thought to be more, it is a bit more aggressive compared to HIV-2. HIV-2 tends to respond better to treatment. In Zambia, it's HIV-2 that we have. Then mostly West Africa, those are the areas where you find HIV-1. So what we have in Zambia is HIV-2.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Can you have both?
You can have both. You can have both, yes. What it is that if today you have HIV-2, you sleep with someone who has HIV-1, and that person is not suppressed, they can pass that same strain to you. Just like if I'm on treatment, I'm taking first-line medication, then there's someone who's on second-line medication and they're not taking their drugs properly, I can get that strain. Because when you're on first-line medication, what it means is that when you go to second-line medication, what that means is that your drugs your HIV has mutated. It doesn't respond to HIV-1 virus. So when you are now on second-line medications, then you sleep with someone who's on first-line medications, that strain that you have will be given to this person. You find that this person also may stop responding to medications. So you can pass different strains to each other. So that's why we tell people that even if you're HIV positive, doesn't mean that it's the end. You can still sleep around. You can still get different strains from different people, and of course you can get STIs.
Oh man, so when it comes to HIV, I mean, obviously there are these theories that people have. They sit down in these bars and have a few drinks. Say, it was just made so that the pharmaceutical companies can make a lot of money. I mean, we had COVID recently, and we seem to have found a way to control it. How come it's a virus too? How come we haven't come to a point where we can actually say, okay, we're done with HIV?
So
it's been what, 40 years?
40 years. So with HIV, first of all, people of course say they make money from pharmaceuticals and whatnot. HIV medication in Zambia, or basically in Africa, it's free. It's given by the famous, everyone talks about the Gates Foundation and whatnot.
Yeah.
The Gates Foundation, they give us vaccines, they give us a lot of drugs, they give us our ARVs for free. So where do they even make their profits from? Then the reason why HIV is being so difficult to control in terms of finding the cure is the nature of the virus itself. It's quite an intelligent virus. So what HIV does is that the active HIV, when we take medication, the drugs that we take are able to completely attack the active virus in the blood. But there's what you call latent HIV. When the virus is in latent form, we don't know exactly where it hides in the body, and our drugs that we have today, with all the latest technologies that we have today, they're not able to get to those sites where the HIV is hiding. So meaning, if I'm HIV positive and I'm taking my medication, I'll have what you call viral suppression, right? With viral suppression, it means I don't have any active virus. I can sleep with someone without a condom. I can sleep with any person who has not passed the virus.
Yes.
But I still have HIV, except that it's just hiding in certain places. Drugs are not able to reach in those sites.
I didn't even think about it that way. Like,
Yes.
just not, it's there, but they're not able to
It's
reach.
not active, yes.
All right, so I mean, we had a time when HIV drugs were pretty expensive and people couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
Then I think that was like 2003, 2004. The same foundations came in and HIV drugs were free and everyone could access them.
Yeah.
So do we have children that, let's say 2004, like 20 years old, that are born with HIV? Is there any way people are sitting down with these children and actually having discussions?
Yeah.
And what are they going through?
So unfortunately, I think this is something that we've been pushing for as people that who are talking about HIV at ADCH. We have a lot of young people today who are in high school, who are in university.
Yeah.
These are the most popular people in school, the most popular people in university. They were born with a disease. But who's there to tell them, to say, if this man asks you out, or if this girl is interested in you, what do you do? What do you tell them? Do you disclose your status? And if you're going to disclose your status to that person, how many people are you going to disclose? We don't have such programs, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The few that are there, they are just limited to hospitals, but we need a lot of such activities in the print media, on TV, such programs, talking to someone out there who's watching, who was born with a disease. I mean, we need people to talk to those people.
Yeah.
All you see on the news is wear a condom. How about that person who was born with it? Who's going to encourage that person? Are there any programs that are there targeted at their mental health and stuff like that? So we need people to come on board, people that are willing to sponsor such programs, people that are willing to lead such programs, because trust me, we have a lot of people. In Zambia, as of last year, we have 58,000 children living with HIV. That's from 0 to 14 years old. As of last year,
Okay.
58,000. How many programs are there that are targeted at these groups?
That's food for thought. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and when it comes to, obviously, it's been 20 years we've been getting this medication that makes it less babies less susceptible to getting HIV/AIDS. Are we educated enough? Are we responsible enough as parents these days to not have a child with HIV? Is that what you're seeing every day at ADH?
Well, I think we are
Clean
making
babies.
we're making progress. We are making progress. That or not, like, we're making progress. We're having less numbers of babies that are born with HIV. And we always say that if today a baby is born with HIV, then it means it's negligence from the mother and possibly the father. Because all mothers, when you go for antenatal, the first test that they're done,
It's
HIV test is
and
done.
they tell you to come with your
And
partner.
they tell you to come with your partner. But of course, we men, we don't like going for antenatal. And that is why in certain clinics, actually it's funny, but in certain clinics, they've got a program that they do. If a woman comes with a partner, they'll be put first in line. When you find a queue, because you've come with your partner.
Believe me, I've got testimony. The one time I had a partner and I wasn't available. I was working. I was busy, and they called me and they, no, nothing's going to happen with me. You need it here. Like, really?
Yeah.
Until I came, that's when they moved.
So,
it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So ideally, we do all these tests so that by the time the woman is ready to give birth, should have already been on treatment. Because the drugs that we have right now, with the latest drugs that we have, improvements that have been made to the drugs, within 3 months of taking the drugs, you are expected to be suppressed. And that's why from the 395s that we have, because by 2030 we said that we're supposed to have no HIV in Zambia. So we're using the 95, 95, 95. The first 95, we've almost achieved it in Zambia. Almost everyone that is on treatment in Zambia today is suppressed. So within 3 months of being put on medication, you're supposed to be suppressed. But unfortunately for some mothers, because of finding out that they're HIV positive, the stigma it comes with, maybe no support from the husband, or maybe the anger from getting the HIV, they don't start taking medication, and you find that the baby is even born. And we ask them to say, the way you felt it, getting positive and whatnot. Now imagine this baby didn't even know anything.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we still have HIV in children, and it's unfortunate, but
I don't like to rain on anyone's parade, but 2030, I mean, this is the end of 2024. We have 5 years until we reach that HIV goal that everyone wants in our country and in the world, basically. How do you think we're faring for the next 5 years? Do you think our how we're behaving and how we are taking HIV is going to get us to that goal in the next 5 years?
Steve, I almost asked you how was your weekend, because that's where it starts from. You understand? That's where it starts from. I mean, it's a question that we need to ask ourselves, because this goal, it has to start from everyone as citizens. What are you doing? What is your role in all this? Have you gone to get yourself tested? Understand? If you've gone to get tested, if they found you to be HIV positive, have you gone to have yourself started on medication? And if you're on medication, have you started? Are you taking your medication to a point that you are now even suppressed? So it's something that we're still pushing, but like I said earlier, on the first 95, we're almost achieving it, because the 395s, and I want everyone to understand, the first 95, we said that we want all people, at least 95% of people that are living with HIV and AIDS, to know that they have HIV. We want that 95% of those people that know that they've got HIV to be on treatment, and want 95% of those who are on treatment to be suppressed. We are almost achieving this one. Almost 95% of people that are on treatment are almost suppressed. That one we've achieved. But these other two, we're getting there.
Okay, all right.
5 years might seem a bit short, but we're getting there.
But we'll be optimistic.
Yeah, at least we know that Copper Belt were the highest in terms of HIV in the country. So
you just ruined my day.
It means we're getting there.
But HIV remains a significant global health issue, with 42.3 million lives lost to date. Can you believe? And 39.9 million people living with HIV, and 65% of them are right here in Africa. And 630,000 HIV-related deaths and 1.3 million new infections in 2023 alone. However, with access to effective prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and care, HIV has become a manageable chronic condition. So these are some of the global targets that we aim to. HIV, end of HIV epidemic, like we said, by 2030, achieve 95% diagnosis, treatment, and virus suppression by 2025, just a few weeks from now. And the current progress for HIV is 86% of people living with HIV know their status, 77% are receiving antiretroviral therapy, that's worldwide, and then 72% have suppressed viral load. So we're not doing too bad.
We're getting there.
We're not doing too bad.
We're getting there.
All right. So I mean, what are your final words for World AIDS Day and where we are with HIV, and especially that you're working with kids all the time? Yeah.
So I think for me, my words out there to people is be responsible. Be responsible, and if you know that you've had a long weekend, for example, get tested.
Yeah, because not only do you lose your phone at the weekend, sometimes you lose your mind.
That's the thing. That's the thing. We have drugs that are available in hospitals like PrEP. Almost all government hospitals are there. If you know that over the weekend something happened and you didn't protect yourself, PrEP is there. Come and get PrEP. If you know that if you're going to have a nice weekend, take PrEP. So PrEP is what you call preventive therapy. So before you get exposed, it's pre-exposure prophylaxis. So before you get exposed to the virus, you take the drugs, because you know that this weekend I'm going to have fun, I'll lose my mind. Or maybe the past weekend, something happened, you lost your mind. Take PEP. PEP is just one tablet a day for 28 days. It will prevent you from getting HIV. Because HIV is there on the copper belt, like we've said, cases are on the rise. So it's not, these days you don't need to sleep. My final is you don't need to sleep with 20 people to get HIV. You just need to sleep with just one person that you thought the person is okay, but isn't. You don't need to sleep with 20, 30 people. Just that one person, Steve, is all that is needed for you to get HIV. PEP and PrEP are available. Come to our hospitals, we'll give you. Let's end AIDS.
You see, Santa Claus should be not what you're thinking about. You should also think about PEP and PrEP. This December, a lot of you act out of your mind. And maybe you should think about that. World AIDS Day next year should have better statistics than we've had this year from your concentration and your preparation for the festive period. Thanks for joining me. My name's Steve Sosik, and that's our Lunar Today. Stay safe.